Welcome, everybody, to this episode of the latest Insights. My name is Elisabeth and I'm really grateful to have this time together. We do these live podcast calls once a month, and you're very welcome to join live if you can, if you want, and the link will be in the show notes to join that. These calls, what I do is I reflect a little bit about the past couple weeks, and I think, what has stood out for me, what has been patterns in my clients, what has been patterns in the breath sessions, and what is alive in my own type of transformation and what I'm going through, the latest insights. And I will also talk about the different offers that are going on or opportunities to work with me as well. And for those who are live, if there's anything that resonates or anything that you are enjoying, feel free to write in the chat. And in the end, if there's any questions or anything you want to deepen on, you're really welcome to do that as well. So, I will just one moment here. All right, so we're back. We took a little pause there. Something happened. So we're going to go into today's conversation, and we can tune into the heart and the breath for a moment, relaxing the body a little bit more. Just noticing the breath, breathing in, and noticing the breath, breathing out. I talk a lot about simplicity in my work, and this is something that is so fun to continue to deepen, because in other senses, I also train in a bit of an advanced level as well within breathwork. So it's so fun to feel the advanced and the simplicity in the same place. It's the same spot. It's the inhale and it's the exhale. So throughout this call, as all the other ones, you can choose exactly how you want to interact. If you want to lay down and just listen to this as I go through what I want to share with you today, or if it's something that you are wanting to take notes or write, or just really show up to this however it feels good for you today. So for those who are completely new to my work, my voice, who am I? I'm Elisabeth Finocchiaro. I think I already said my name in the beginning, but we'll just continue. And I am a breathworker for many years now, and I really love creating the experience within the sessions. That's really my art. That's where I thrive in my work, is when I'm guiding the sessions. I also love to teach like I'm doing now. I mean, this is kind of more of a conversational, not necessarily like a speaking teaching vibe, but it kind of goes in and out of talking and speaking here. But I love to also teach on topics that have to do with emotional intelligence, that have to do with how do we navigate the things that we're going through with more ease? How do we become more gentle with ourselves? I think this is one of the biggest things that I work with. And of course, breathwork and the sessions, and I train breathworkers, and I talk about how we can how can you support yourself in your life through doing breath work and having a good relationship with your breath, a powerful relationship with your breath. I have a membership, I have courses, I have meditations, sessions, and different programs from business to personal, like initiation paths. and also do in-person events. And I have an upcoming retreat in Lofoten in 2 weeks or something like this in the beginning of September, which I'm very, very excited about. So thank you for being here, and I hope you enjoy this episode. I have some notes and some little parts that I want to share with you guys today. And I have a very big teaching that got a bit controversial a year and a half ago or something like that, and sent me into this whole process because somebody said it was the worst thing that anyone could possibly say. And I was like, that's unfortunate because it's one of the best things that I think I've said. So I was like, okay, that was really weird feedback for someone to tell me this is the worst thing. So I experienced online bullying for the first time in my career to that degree. And it was about a teaching that I have that I'm very passionate about. And it's all about returning. So when you feel like you've lost inspiration, just come back. When you feel like you've lost motivation, just come back. When you feel like you've gotten out of a routine, just come back, if routines are your thing. If you feel like you lost focus, just come back. If you feel like you've lost connection, just come back. And it's this idea that, what lies deeper there is that the heart is unconditional. So there's this sense that you can return to yourself without being punished. So there's a part of us that wants to punish, though, right? When you got out of your routine, it's like, oh, but you always get out of routine. You're not reliable. I can never do this. And I can't believe I did it again. And I don't deserve it. And where it's just like, instead being a bit curious and being like, okay, what do you think got me out of the routine? But I also don't need to punish myself. Like there's so many other ways to grow and evolve in this world, and punishment is like not the only way. It definitely is a way though, because we see it, when a kid acts up, you punish it and you hope it learned its lesson so it doesn't do it again. So it's kind of ingrained in our, pedagogic way of teaching, of disciplining, when a discipline can also be little bit deeper. And I think this is kind of a new energy that's coming through, and definitely something that I stand for in my work. I remember I was being mentored by an incredible woman, Jonna Kingsford, and she would talk about how motivation is not really, let me see if I can paraphrase this. Well, the big thing that I got out of it was that care can be such a motivator. And I think that's a bit of a reframe, because sometimes care can be seen as, but you got to discipline and you got to be harder on yourself so that you learn. Where it's more, the deeper you care, you can also change through there, and you can learn so much through there. From both sides, caring about why did you get out of the routine, and then caring enough to go back into it without, like, the most easeful way possible. Just return. So I apply this in my life. This is such a big part of my life that I apply to myself and my own processes. And there's so many layers to it. So in the beginning, it was like, I promise not to be harder on myself than life is hard. So when life is hard, I promise not to be harder. That's one of a very, not the famous quote of mine, but a popular quote, or one of my, whatever you want to call it. In my little world, it's famous quote. In my little corner of the internet, I promise not to be harder on, when life is hard, I promise not to be harder on myself. And because I really believe that this is something that so many of us are struggling with, being hard on ourselves. One of the shadows of the creative leader is criticism. The shadow of a leader can be criticism, like, oh, you should have done better, and you could have done this, and you should have, could have, and you would have done that if da 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 da. So when we can relax that voice, we are a lot more curious to want to care more, to be like, how can this be better, but in a caring way, not in a I need to fix this because something's broken way, but more like, is there something I can do better next time to make this easier? Do you see that's a different energy to, like, oh, you do this all the time and better not happen next time, and some bit more punishing. So returning without shame is a huge, huge thing in my world. And I think this is also part of my success and part of my, and what I mean by success for me is feeling peace. Like that's success for me is peace. And it might be other things for other people because everyone needs to define success for themselves. But for me, it's peace, like peace in my my mind, my heart, my relationships, my way of doing things, my way that I put my art out into the world, my work out into the world, like that is my level of success. So when I bring myself back constantly without shame, there's a lot more peace in the room because it's kind of like, let's just do it again. Let's just do it again. Let's just return. Let's just return. Now, there is a part to this where there needs to be a level of awareness because this can get slippery. If every day you're kind of, if you're going out so much that like every day you're getting back, this is where it can get slippery because then again, there's not like a number of chances you get and then there's no more chances, right? It's kind of like you can't, it's not that you only have 10 times to do this, right? You only have 10 slips of returning. There, it's unlimited. And there's also this awareness of, is this happening too many times where it's maybe not necessary? So, because it can be a, you can start to cheapen that. Okay, this is it. You can start to cheapen your unlimited opportunities. Because, so have you ever experienced this before? You're just like, oh, well, the opportunities are unlimited, so I'll just sit on my couch and tomorrow's the day, right? Or be like, it'll happen another time. Or I can just return, so all is good, right? Like I'll just eat this whole chocolate bar every day and I'll just keep returning. Where it's like, yes, yes, and the journey of kind of, and I love chocolate. I eat chocolate, so no chocolate shaming here. I was just trying to say something to kind of paint a picture of whatever it could be that you're kind of getting out of. So we're using chocolate, unfortunately, because it's very good. But so to cheapen that experience, to be like, yeah, but I can always return. It's like, yes, you can. But the journey of kind of going out and coming back does take energy. And it can slow momentum. And it should not be a default. Or default is fine, but it does, we don't want to cheapen it. So in a sense of, we don't want that to be like, yeah, but it's fine. I can just return. I'm trying to find a word, what I'm trying to explain right now, but maybe like easy way out type of thing. We don't want this journey to always be your easy way out because sometimes there's going to be resistance and different things to face. And when we do that, it doesn't feel easy in the moment, but we keep some sort of momentum instead of kind of falling out and then returning. So we do want to stay. I think this is the energy. Staying is the default. And I think this is a lot of us, this is the work that we're doing is like, how can we stay in certain frequencies, energies, standards, power? How do you stay? Because the energy of returning actually takes quite a lot of energy, but also staying takes energy, but you can sustain that until it becomes subconscious, right? We all have patterns that we didn't have 5 years ago, 2 years ago, a couple months ago, that now are, we don't use any energy because it just is a new standard. So that's kind of the vibe. Rather work on staying and sustaining than constantly needing to return. And then you need to kind of work on sustaining, return, sustain, just sustain, sustain, sustain. And then if something happens, of course, just return. I hope this landed. If peace is the currency of success, the shadow can be laziness. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think everyone needs to define success for themselves. For me, that this is the currency. And shadow can be laziness for sure. I mean, laziness is definitely a shadow, and it's nothing to shame either, because laziness and procrastination is often a need not getting met. It's not because the person is lazy and not worthy and we should punish the laziness. It's more because there's usually a lack of information or a need that's not being met. And there's actually been I remember reading an article some years ago from a psychologist who wrote an amazing piece on this, how kids that are procrastinating, they are actually not getting a need met in their personal life, or it was talking about school and things like this at home. And when we are met, seen, heard, and met, which is the next upcoming masterclass, by the way, we feel more full, and then it's easier to let things move in our lives. When you feel full, you can move forward easier. But when you feel like you're kind of lacking something, that lack kind of holds you back in for lack of better words. So the laziness is definitely a shadow, I believe, for sure. And it's natural, like it's all good. It's all part of the process. Of course, when you're setting off new courses for new things in your life, there's going to be shadows that are like, this is scary. Like the mind is literally programmed to keep you in comfort, to keep you in familiarity. So if you haven't sustained parts of you that are used to being in the unknown, you're going to have a hard time with change and transformation, and laziness, procrastination, things like this will become a normal for you and start to become part of your personality. But when you're used to uncertainty and when you're used to, change and being in the unknown and trusting yourself, then suddenly you're not really a lazy person because you're making the moves. You're just like this thing, next step, next step, next step. So if you're procrastinating something, you might want to ask yourself, what need am I not getting met? Where do I not feel heard within yourself mostly? And where is there parts of me that want to be met that haven't been met? Sometimes when you make a decision and there's a part of you that doesn't feel seen in that decision, they'll be like, nope, we're not doing it. I'm going to bring in the lazy troops to stop this process because I am not down for this experience. But when you kind of get your whole self behind something, I love that term of like getting behind something, like energetically, this is like energetic work, just getting behind it so that all of you can move forward. Even the parts that are scared. It's just like, yeah, you were scared last time and it went okay. Like you can come too, like let's all go, right? Like it's gonna be okay. Where if you don't acknowledge the scared parts of yourself, when you don't acknowledge these parts of your experience, you don't have to validate them and being like, yeah, you're right, we should stay. But it's more just like, I hear you. It's totally normal to be scared. What would happen if we kept walking forward? Like, let's just try this out. We can always go back, but let's just try this out. So returning is an incredible resource, but I don't want it to be your or mine easy way out all the time. To being like, well, I can just jump here and then I can just return. It's like, well, what would it be like to stay? That's kind of the default vibe. And the returning is the tool that we can use when we do go out, because it will happen. It will definitely happen. And make sure you know it's going to happen. I talk a lot about this inside of Healing the Heart and emotional intelligence work. This is not about taking away the process part of transformation that is difficult. It's about knowing that it will happen. Like it's going to come. So be prepared for it. And this is going to help you not get out when these things happen. This was such a big part of my journey when I was going through emotional healing. I still am, obviously, it's like an ongoing thing, but when I was going through a big awakening, I call it the emotional awakening, when you start to realize that, yeah, a lot of things. You start to realize a lot of things about your emotions and start to realize about self-sourcing and attachments and start to realize things about your worthiness and your self-belief and where are you getting validation from. Like there's just so many subtopics here. And it was a really big time to, with this process of awakening. And I talk a lot about it within Healing the Heart, this getting ready for this experience, because it will happen. Like we will have our dips, we will have our doubts. So it's really about having tools in place that support you there so that you don't go too far out, because it's totally possible to stay grounded when you're doubting, even though it doesn't feel like it, but it is possible. So, and that helps so much, right? Because then you're not like falling so far out when you're feeling these dips. You're still worthy, you're still powerful, and you're going through something totally normal. Get curious. What can I do to support myself? What can I do to serve here? What can I do to keep this energy moving? And I move and I step and we keep going. So I'll come in with a little personal story here. It was around a month ago, so I guess it was the week after I did the latest insights. I was going through a little bit of a resistance, not having so much clarity. I love clarity. I love it so much. It was one of my first ever workshops called Clarity and Compassion. It's a word for me that's just been with me from the beginning of my journey. I love having mental clarity, emotional clarity. I love having energetic, spiritual clarity. I really love and value clarity a lot. I obviously don't always have clarity in my available to me because I'm of my humanness of doubt and my shadows and my whatever else that tends to fog up the clarity. And before that would stress me out, right? Like I would downward spiral, like I was talking about with the emotional awakening. I was really hard on myself. And that's why I'm so passionate about these topics, because I have literally dug myself out of holes that in the past I would have just kept going. And I've learned how to stay above the earth and not dig myself down. And that has been like one of my biggest life accomplishments. And that's why I'm so passionate about sharing it with others as well. So I was experiencing lack of clarity. And I have a business, as you guys know, and I have a life, as we all have. We all have, you know, we all have bills to pay. We all have appointments. We all have maybe people that rely on us, kids, family. We have hobbies, interests. Like you have a beautiful life. And when I wasn't feeling clarity, there's this shadow that wants to suck everything from me. There's like no fun, no celebration, no doing this or this. Like it really wants to bring me down, like before putting myself in a hole. Where now it's like I can stay lighter when I don't have clarity. So the story, I really realized something, and Gabrielle was actually with me. So she came to Gjøvik where I lived, and we were going to plan this party to celebrate. And my shadow was like, no party. And I really wanted to have the party, but it wasn't feeling totally aligned. So I was like, okay, the shadow is like quite strong right now, but how can we just create something nice anyway? Let's not make the whole party, but let's make a little party. I feel like I shared this somewhere. I'm not sure where I shared this story, but it was probably inside Breathe Live or it was inside the masterclass, the last one I did, I think, the listening masterclass. And so then she was like, yeah, that sounds good. We'll do a more intimate one. We don't have to do this whole thing, but let's still show up for the party vibes. Let's still do this, because obviously there's a part of myself that wanted to crash it all down. And then I was getting an invite, or I was getting guests from Canada, one woman from Canada that I haven't seen in 10 years. And she was actually there in my first breathwork experience, but I digress. It was a special meeting, and she was in Norway. And I was like, of course, you need to come. So she's coming, and I'm like, and she's like, we're having a party, right? Like, I'm so excited for the party. Yeah, the summer celebration event. Oh yeah, yep. Yeah, I just feel like this story is gonna get really long if I keep adding so many things. But because it was it was just like a lot going on. And the point is that there was just so much going on, and I kept moving with each thing, even though I didn't feel I was meeting the expectations. And so we get to the weekend where I'm supposed to have this big party. I was going to invite everyone in town. Like I was going to do this whole thing, like get a photographer and like cakes and balloons. And like, I was like, let's get a DJ. Like I really wanted to do this whole situation. But my energy was like, it's not happening. And that's good to honor. And then the Canadian friend was like, I have two other people that want to come and stay at your place we're coming from a retreat. Is that okay? And I was like, let me talk to my partner. I talked to my partner. He was like, yep, let's do it. So they came, Gabriel came, and suddenly the house is full. And suddenly they're like, we want to bake cake. Or I actually told them to bake cake. I'm like, please, can you bake cakes? And they were like, we want to bake cakes. And they just brought such an amazing energy. And I'm like, the party's happening. Like, we're having the party. And there was just this. And another thing in all of this is that I booked a photo shoot weeks in advance when I thought I was going to have this amazing, energy. And then the confusion came in and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm having a photo shoot. I don't even have like the vision. I kind of have the vision, but like I'm not feeling it. But I was like, let's continue, let's do it. I booked it. Because I almost canceled it. And I was like, no, I booked it. Let's trust the version of me that was clear. I talk a lot about this in Healing the Heart as well as like, and in business. Trust the version of you that was in the power, like trust that person. So if I make a plan in my business, like a marketing plan or a branding photo shoot or something like this, and I know that I made it from a place of power of like do this and this and this, and I put it in the calendar, and then later I see the calendar and I'm like, I don't want to do that. I trust the version of me that made the calendar, not the version of me that day that doesn't want to do it. So you kind of, I also play with kind of power energies of like, if I don't feel so much power now, let me go back to when I did feel power and be like, do I want to trust that version of me? Where was it coming from? Was it a good idea? And if those are yeses, then I'm like, let me just show up in however I can. So we're about to meet this photographer, and Gabriel was there too, and it was raining, and I just got my hair done, and I'm like, it's raining, and like I have no idea where we're gonna take these pictures. And and then we're like, should we just go back to my house? And my house is full of people. And I'm just like, okay, we're just going to do this photo shoot in my place. But it ended up being so perfect because I had all my props, all my things. And then there was a man that was visiting and he wanted to be in the photo shoot. And I wanted a man to be in the photo shoot. Like that was my vision. But I was like, I don't know how we're going to make that happen. And he suddenly was like, yeah. And he was wearing like clothes that was completely on brand. And I was just like, and he was doing everything. He was so open to my creative ideas. And Gabriel joined some pictures. And I didn't have much to give, to be honest. But things were still happening because I trusted the version of me that was clear. And I was like, there's a momentum here. I don't want to stop it. I don't want to dig myself into the ground either. So I'm going to stay on the earth and I'm just going to keep walking because there is something happening here. I'm going to try not to be so unprofessional either and be like, I don't know what I'm doing because I do know what I'm doing in many ways. So there's a level here of being very, I'm not like airy and being like, I have no idea. It's like I had a creative vision. I had, general ideas and things happen and we adjust. And I know that, yeah, things can be like this, but I still wasn't feeling like my most powerful, But there was a lot of space apparently for improv to happen and to trust the step by step by step. And it ended up being an incredible photo shoot. I paid for 50 pictures. She sent me 500. So it was a lot. And I just loved her style. I loved working with the photographer. I now have images for upcoming branding things. And it just turned out to be like this trust in the momentum. And I think this is very important for you when you're going through life and you're feeling like, this is a good idea. I really want to do this. It might be very big vision of just like going through with your life's work, your art, or it could be very specific with a specific project. I want to do this. And then one day you're just like, I don't have capacity for this. Or a week. For me, it lasted actually a couple of weeks, to be honest, where I was just like, wow, I set in motion all of these things that I don't feel like I have capacity for, but I know is good for me and my business and my life and my work. So what if I can just be there? So I don't have to shut it down and I don't have to dig it into a hole either. And I don't have to dig myself into a hole and I don't have to call myself unprofessional and I don't have to beat myself up. But what if I can just be there and not have to like over deliver and not have to have all the answers and not have to like make everything 100%? And this experience was just very, very interesting for me to watch. It was very much like a confirmation for all of us that when there's not clarity, there's still momentum that you can ride on. Like you can literally just join, like just get on it. And it will take you because you already created the momentum. It's like hopping on a bus that's already moving, like slowly. You can just hop on it like a trolley or whatever. That's a weird example, but it's just kind of hopping on something that's already moving. And you don't need to necessarily like keep it going because it's already moving. And then when you're ready, you'll like revamp it, and then that will last for a little bit, and then you revamp it instead of stopping it and like punching it and putting it down and going away and all these things that the shadow really wants us to do. Okay, story time over. That was a bit of a mess, but here we are. Oh my gosh. It's possible, guys. It's very possible to keep moving when the clarity is not there. I am living example of it. So let's see what else is coming up. And for those who are live, let me know if this is landing, resonating. So the next piece that I want to talk about today is something that I heard from a great, like a breathwork elder in Sweden. Bo Wallström is his name. And he says that, I'm paraphrasing here, but I was in a talk of his and he said the breathwork is like you will it's like a truth work. Breathwork is truth work. He didn't say that, but I'm paraphrasing. You're speaking exactly to what I'm experiencing. Oh, this makes me so freaking happy. This is the reason why I'm doing this. Thank you so much for saying that. That confirmation was amazing. Really grateful. So he said something like breathwork is truth work. So if you're resisting to breathe, you're probably resisting something. There's maybe a truth in your life that you are resisting. Something like this. And I took that with me because whenever I have resistance towards breath work, and I'm a breath worker, so obviously this is my choice of modality. I love this work. This is my path and my choice. We're all kind of drawn to different ways of working with our internal experiences. And of course I have multiple ones. I love to go for walks. I love art. I love to work with my hands. I love to write. I love to, yeah, I would say those. Music. I love music, like, and I'm sure there's a couple other ones, but working with my hands is a very big one. And breath work. So like with working within my internal dialogue, it's like I love to create and to breathe. Create and breathe. Those are like very important words for me. And so when I'm resisting my own work, I usually am curious of like, what's going on here? Why am I resisting my own work? And I think kind of two things came up. One is, yeah, I might be resisting some sort of truth, something that I feel is a bit difficult. And I know that if I breathe, it will come up. It's like a sleeping dust that if I start to sleeping dust, resting dust or whatever you call it, like dust, settled dust. And if I start to clean it, then the dust will kind of go into the air, something like that, and then I'll have to deal with it, right? And this is a big reason why a lot of people don't do personal development work or inquiry work, is because they actually are not resourced enough to face what comes up. And this can be the same with people who do personal development work as well, that if you surface something that you're not resourced for, it can actually be re-traumatizing or just too intense for your system. So that's why I think sustainable transformation is very important, like little by little, this type of energy, the gentle approach. This for me is like the solution for the intense and not being resourced. But anyway, you can still feel resistance towards things in your life. And I noticed I was having resistance towards meditation and breath work. And for me, that's always like an interesting thing. So I think the other one is that it just becomes something that you kind of get out of habit in a way. So of course it's going to feel harder to start up that momentum again with the momentum thing. So I don't think it's always necessarily like this big intense, like you're avoiding the deepest part of yourself. It's like, no, it could also just be that you've prioritized something else, and shifting focus requires amount of energy to put that energy into the breathing and that vibe. It's a different frequency. Like when you're doing breath work often, you are on another frequency. Like I notice it in my own life when I'm doing breath work every day, whether it's like a 10-minute meditation or a 1 hour session or a 20-minute session, my life is different. And this is kind of what that breath worker was trying to say, was when you do breath work, your life changes. And when you do it often, you will not, like it is, the effects are just so tangible, and you will tell the truth will come out. You will not be able to go away from certain things in your life because you're constantly kind of cleaning and bringing things up. So I've noticed that there's been a bit of resistance in my field. And again, that is when I have to apply this just return. So I don't shame myself of being like, I'm a breath worker, I should be doing breath work all the time. I don't shame or punish. I just say, okay, how can I return? And I remember doing, I think it was last week, I did a 20-minute session, and within like the first 10 minutes, I was like looking around and wanting to be on my phone and just noticing like, wow, I'm really distracted. And that's something I don't really value, and something that long term I don't it hurts. I remember a little side tangent. One of the clients that I'm working with right now, I asked him, how long does it take before you return? Like when he goes off on things, how often does it take for him to return? I'm like, do you always return? Like you always return, right? Because we were talking about it and saying how, like it's always a priority to return. And he goes, yeah, because it hurts so much to not return. And I think this is something that when you live in the heart, and breath work is heart work, truth work, when you start to go away from that, it actually hurts. Like you'll actually feel parts of you that are just like, this is not fulfilling. This is not feeling like, I'm not feeling like myself. I'm not feeling you'll just start to get these clues of kind of not feeling yourself. And that is one of the most painful things I've ever experienced. A little bit of drama there, but you guys get what I mean. Like it's a painful feeling to feel that you're not yourself. It's sad to sit there and be like, where am I? And that is a big motivator to care about returning. So I was in this meditation and kind of not wanting to be in this stillness, which is something that for me is like, stillness is part of who I am. It's part of who we are. It's part of the place where we are connected beyond the identity, beyond the conditions. That's the place I really want to be connected to in a normal day-to-day experience. But it only took me like another time, like one more session, and then I was back. So there's also this idea that sometimes you just need to freshen up a little bit, like, stretch yourself out a bit. And for those who have been gone a little bit farther, it might take a couple more sessions to get back to that place, but you'll get back. And I'm feeling myself deeper and deeper and deeper. And I'm so grateful for that, because I have gone through certain experiences in my life lately that have been taking me out, and the shadow has been wanting me to go out so bad. So feeling like I'm kind of reclaiming more and more and more. And then of course the breath work is going to come in. And now the breath, this is what happens with me when I'm with breath, is that once I get connected to it, it gets kind of like, do it again. Like, let's have another session. Like, let's keep going. She's back. Woohoo. Like, it's like a party. And that's kind of how I'm feeling right now, is like, all I want to do is be in breath and stillness and have my sessions and be in that space. And for me, it is sad when I'm not in that as well. So I can kind of feel that pull back. So one more piece that I want to share today. And it is this same person that I asked on the call, how long does it take until you return? And he said, I always return because it's painful to not. And we continued that conversation, and he shared, if I could be a master at anything, I would be a master at being gentle with myself. Like that's what he has mastered. And he's an incredible human being with an amazing brand and very skilled at what he does. He's an artist. So many would say that he's like a master at art, or what he does is very next level. And then he's sitting there talking to me saying like he's a master of gentleness, because that, and I'm like, that is such an important currency. To be gentle and kind to yourself is a certain type of freedom that I really wish more of us can feel. Because when we're hard on ourselves, we get hard on others as well. When we're hard on others, it makes it harder for ourselves. And of course, there's like boundary work here of being like, what do you have capacity for? What do you accept? What don't you accept? What are your conflict resolution processes look like? How do you kind of navigate who gets to be close in your life and not? Like, there's so many different levels to this, but that can all be done through kindness. So there's a very big difference between setting a boundary and being mean, than setting a boundary and being kind towards yourself and the other person in a way of, and this is kind of digressing into a whole other conversation that I don't know if I want to open in this call right now. This is kind of things that we talk about healing the heart, and goes a little bit quite deep into relationships and different things like this. But there is there's this way of being that I am leaning more into, and it's not always easy, but to leave situations before they get mean. Because often when you're not in the energy of kindness and gentleness, it's because you've been pushed a little bit too far, right? You're like, now my patience is over. Like there's lines for this, right? There's common sayings for this, like, now I'm finished, now I went too far, or you've gone too far, whatever it could be. And I think a big thing for all of us is to not get to that place of going too far. And this requires sensitivity and experience. Sometimes you have to go through some experiences to learn this. I know I have, to find kind of where is my too far. And that one is very interesting to find, because it can also move, because you get more capacity, so then you can go farther with people, and you can go farther with people before it bothers you, affects you, before it gives a reaction in you, where maybe if you're just kind of starting out with personal power work, it's like your line is right here, and you're just like can't really handle too much, and then your line gets bigger and bigger. So but the question is, how much can you handle and still be kind and gentle? And as soon as the energy goes hostile, harmful, cold, then maybe you've gone a little bit too far. And then you can kind of be curious of being like, how could I have communicated or cared a little bit before I got to this point? This is the path of ease. This is the choice of like staying as present as you can in all of the stages, not getting to a certain place and things blowing up and being difficult and challenging. Like the path of ease is more acknowledging the steps, not just waiting for the big thing to happen. And this is something that I value so much in my body of work. And 2 courses are coming up, or 2 containers are coming up. One is my ease retreat in Lofoten, where we're going to talk about these type of things, finding your path of ease, finding how can you navigate and lead your life personally and professionally with more ease. Like, where are your limits? Where are your triggers? Where, like, and how are you, what are your tools? And both gaining the awareness of you. Like, how do you function? Like, what is optimal for you? Because it's going to be different for all of us. And once you figure this out, you create your blueprint of ease. And then that will always shift as you grow. But when you find the foundation for that, you can apply it and upgrade it in a sense. And also ease within breath work. So do you feel like you have to push in your breathwork sessions to get a result? And in life, do you feel like you have to push and force in order to get a result? And this is what I talk a lot about within the ripple effect. So the ripple effect is a mini mastermind, not mini membership, not a mastermind. I don't have a mastermind. A mini membership where I talk about the little things, the step by step, the what can I do now? And we go deeper into the, like every month is a new topic. And when you join, you get all of the months before. And it's a week-long audio immersion every month. So there's 7 audios 1 week every month. So when you join, you'll get June and July and August, 3 months. This is very supportive if you want audios in your ears to kind of just remind you, give little perspectives. Audios are from 5 minutes to 20 minutes. There's not many that are 20 minutes, but 5 minutes to 10 minutes probably is the average, just to support little reminders of, yeah, how can we make a little shift that can support you in the big shifts and support creating the big shifts. Oh, there's so much I want to share and say and do, and I'm just so grateful this is my job because I can just literally just create opportunities to keep teaching and sharing. Okay, there's actually one more piece I want to share. And this is about your transformations and your desires and your, ways of being that you want to be in your life, like the way you want to do things. The 20-minute breathwork session is amazing to do during the day. Yeah, do you mean the one on Spotify? Or which 20-minute session? So, but yeah, 20 minutes is definitely like a sweet one because usually my sessions are 1 hour. So you do need to like set aside a bit more time for that and really drop in. The ripple effect. There is no breathwork session in the ripple effect. Not that I believe of, but it's definitely nice with these little audios. There is a 20-minute session on Spotify on this podcast. Maybe that's what you're talking about. We can clear that up later as well. But it's definitely nice to do, yeah, exactly. It's definitely nice to do smaller sessions as well. Do it during the day, get it into your life. And more people are also telling me that they're listening to my breathwork sessions while they're doing things. So they're not completely going into it with closed eyes, but they're actually doing walking meditations in the forest with my breathwork sessions. And so that's really, really cool to see how it can go in without laying down and having to close your eyes for an hour. So when it comes to your dreams and these new ways of becoming that are showing itself to you, of being like, hey, this is where you're going, this is your path, let's keep walking. I want you to, there's just like one sentence I really want to give you, and it is, give it a chance. So many give up too soon. I really believe this. And so many don't see things through. And so many don't give chances. And then I remembered this song by John Lennon, Give Peace a Chance. Have you guys listened to it? It's a very famous song. And the energy behind that song is, in a place, it became like the anthem of anti-war in the 70s. It became so big that it was like the song that everyone was singing. And it was kind of this energy of like, against all odds, because war was so present, couldn't we just give peace a chance? Like, but it doesn't seem like it's happening because it's not, there's war. But can we give peace a chance? And same with your dreams and things that you're wanting to make and do and be in this life. Like, even in the reality of it not being here right now, can you be courageous enough to be like, I'm going to give it a chance? And stand in that and be patient in a sense of I'm giving it a chance. And that doesn't mean it happens right away. And I know John Lennon, he didn't think it was going to happen right away. He was just trying to shift a little bit. Like, can we just give it a chance? Like, I feel like that give it a chance has this energy of like, nah, like it has this energy of like, can we just a little, like, it's kind of this inviting, like, tweak. Can we just give it a chance? It's not like, can we do it now? Like, do it now, like, peace now. It was like, all I'm saying is, can we just give it a chance? And it's this grounded energy of, can you just believe one more time? Like, can we just lean in and stick the course? Even though it doesn't look like it's happening, even though it looks like it's really not in the cards for us, even though we are facing the complete opposite, but can we just do that tweak? And I really believe that a lot of us give up a bit too early and we cut ourselves short and we cheapen our experiences because of the courage that it takes to actually wait out a chance. To be like, I'm going to give this a chance. And again, there's certain things in life that you might not want to give a chance or a second chance to. And that's just like living, growing, learning. It's all good. And difficult decisions for sure. There's so many difficult decisions I've had to make where I'm like, am I going to give this another chance? No. But there's certain things in your heart and in your spirit that you'll feel like you want to give a chance. And I really hope that you can stay with that in the presence of the opposite. And I want you to listen to that song if you want to. Just look it up on YouTube or Spotify. Give Peace a Chance by John Lennon. And then you can add in your own dream, desire, goal, service to the world, whatever it is you want to put in there. So I'm guessing what you're going through and what you want in your life is not the easy path, because the easy path is staying with what you're doing. That's the easy path. The familiarity, the sofa, the day-to-day. So it is about choosing and about chancing. Choosing and chancing, choosing and chancing. So if you have that energy of like, I'm going to give it a chance, there's like this courage energy, and then I'm going to choose. That's the power energy. Power and courage together, you're going to get far. You might not create peace where there's war 100%, but you're going to make a movement like John Lennon did. Like there's something is going to happen. The ripple effect is real. But you got to give it a chance. And you got to make a choice. So these two things. All right. I hope this episode supported you, served you, inspired you. I love to do these. I love to hear your feedback as well. Some of you send me messages on Instagram like, I listened to your podcast and I had no idea. So that's super fun. And I'm just welcoming you into my world if you want to continue working with me. I also have a free Facebook group where I sometimes do free sessions, live streams that you can't find anywhere else. And there's different resources in there for you. And I have a membership called Breathe Live, which there's going to be a fun announcement coming out this week. And I have the retreat coming up and one-on-one work as well. So I work with coaching and breathwork one-on-one with you, if that is something that you're feeling called towards. We can go deeper into like your own patterns, your own stories, and your own dreams, where I can help make that easeful, more ease. So if there's any questions coming up for those who are live, I'll give a moment for that. If not, we're just going to slowly end this session. Again, thank you so much for being here, for those who are live. And just know that if you're listening to this and you want to join live, it's totally possible. The link is in the show notes, and you'll get the link every month to join us. And feel free to leave a rating if you want. Yeah, exactly. They were in a hotel room when they were recording this song. Yeah, I was watching a little bit behind the scenes of what how this song was made, and it was very fluid. It was very like they didn't rehearse it that much. They just he kind of knew it and kind of but he knew the chorus like all I'm saying is give peace a chance, and then he had everyone sing it. And yeah, I love it. So I hope that can kind of give a little anchor for you to continue with your own whatever you're giving a chance to. Yeah, it's amazing. Good. Well, thank you so much for joining. I will see you next time wherever we are connected. And again, thanks for tuning in, sending so much love. Bye, everybody.